Welcome to Shelor Select. The whole system will be ready in a few minutes. Take your seat and enjoy.
Hey, yo, John's back on the podcast. How you doing, man?
Buddy. Good.
I heard you a little hungover today, man.
A little bit. So for the Shelor Select, I'm drinking some Darjeeling tea.
Well, I'm drinking Liquid Death mountain water. So,
Nice.
yeah. So what'd you do last night? Just drank a little too much whiskey? Is that what happened?
Yeah, just played some Smash with a buddy of mine and Mario Kart and some other stuff on the Switch. And we just had a whiskey and then a whiskey and then more whiskey. And we continued drinking whiskey until, this morning.
Just kept it flowing, huh?
Yeah, it was good.
Well, speaking of which, do you remember? This is kind of what I want to talk about. It's just talking about drinking because I had a few drinks last night too. Went over to a friend's house and had a little dinner and everything. But anyway,
there you go.
Do you remember the first time you truly got hammered?
I do. So the first time I got schlock-knockered, college, Radford, and I had never experienced vodka. So I was with a buddy of mine, Justin Powell, and another fellow, Russ. We were drinking.
You mean in college? The first time you actually?
College.
Okay.
Well, I mean, my first beer was actually with my roommate Roger in a frat house basement.
Shout out, Raj.
Beast. Yeah, Roger Raj. But no, I didn't get drunk. I tasted it. I was like, Jesus, this is what people do, huh? And but yeah, the first time I got schlam hammered was definitely. So there's the three of us, and we picked up 175 vodka, and it was I think it was either Aristocrat or something cheaper. I mean, it was godless. And again, I never knew what like the effects were or how to maintain it. So I had Gatorade, an empty stomach, and a Dixie cup. So I take the bottle and I fill up the Dixie cup all the way to the top. And I was like, okay. So I drink it over the course of like 4 to 5 minutes.
Right.
And I get me another one. I was like, oh, that's not too bad. And they're like, dude, you need to slow down. I was like, why? I don't even feel anything yet. They're like, it takes a minute. And so I remember I was like, all right. And I stood up and I remember I was walking down to the end of the hallway and I saw a girl there. It's funny enough, it's the girl I'm dating now. And she was like, how you doing? And I was like, yeah, I'm all right. I was like, I just had a little bit to drink and just relaxing. And, I was trying to be smooth, I guess.
Smooth daddy.
She told me later, she's like, I actually watched you get drunk in front of me. Like, I saw you get messed up. Like, and I ended up, like, barely making it downstairs to get some snacks and came back up. And I was like, I don't feel right. I ended up, like, just vomiting all night. And it was incredible because I had couple of my friends came down. One was the roommate of the one of the guys that was drinking, and her. It was my buddy's girlfriend and her roommate came down, and the one roommate helped me not get everything everywhere, and I was just tore up from the floor up, and I was like, I'll never ever drink again. This is the worst I've ever felt my entire life, and. I was like, just let me make it through this night, and I'll be good. I ended up going to class the next morning at 8 a.m., and I didn't realize I'd vomited on my pants, and nobody had told me.
Oh.
And I sat in the front row, and it was, it was a good time. I came back, I was like, God, what's that smell? And Raj is like, that's you, bro. That's you. I was like, oh.
So you had never drank before going to college?
No.
Just never wanted to, or never?
Yeah, never really wanted to. It wasn't my scene. Like growing up, I had a little bit of wine here and there, just occasionally for either to help out with my appetite. Which, fun fact, that shit works. I will forever be ungrateful to my aunt for that one, because she's like, "Oh, you don't eat enough. Here, take some wine. It's good for the stomach." And I'm like, "Okay, great." She wasn't Russian, by the way. I'm just doing.
I was like, okay.
But yeah, like growing up, did that to be like an appetite inducer. Damn if it didn't work. But yeah, just didn't drink the whole time. Just again, never saw a a benefit or a need or a desire, and couldn't get it myself, and didn't know anybody that was much older to get it. So
So you would drink. She wanted you to drink wine to increase your appetite.
yeah, but I was like little. It
Oh,
would be like a little teaspoon of wine. That was really my only experience until college. And in college, again, my first beer was with Raj. It was lukewarm beast. I remember
go
that. God,
Milwaukee's
yeah,
best.
yeah, buddy.
Was it the
Yeah,
beast light or just best?
dude, it wasn't best. It wasn't what it
I'm,
was. I just I remember Roger being like, "Here, try a cup of this." I was like, "Dude, what is this?" And he's like, "It tastes worse than it smells." And it's like, "Oh God."
Now, I remember we used to run through those, like, they had 30 packs there for a while. They might still do.
Yup.
I don't know. We would run
Oh,
through
they
those in
do.
beer pong and
Yeah, dude.
whatnot.
The old up and down. People have taken that to an art form too. Now they're doing beer pong where they're like launching multiple balls, knocking balls off to each other, and like they're really elevating the game of some of
So,
that stuff. And
so way different than what we used to do in college.
yeah, we're like, oh, we're just gonna put the ball in the cup, and now they're like, oh, okay, we're gonna throw it behind the back, throw one ball off the other, see if we can trick shot it in while getting it off the wall. I mean, we do the off the wall, the bounces, the trick shots, and stuff a little bit, but these are people that are refining their craft.
Yeah, I almost thought it kind of was almost a dead sport. That it seems like not many students were playing it now. That I don't know what
It's
I'm looking for here. It seems like the older, yeah, just kind of grow old. I guess is what I was trying to say. Because it seems like it was the go to game in college for us.
yeah, I think
But it seems like now it's just icing and mad dogging and
oh God, I was introduced to icing way after college. I walked into my buddy's house, and he's like, uh, "Here's an ice." I was like, "Well, thanks, but I don't want to drink it." It's like, "No, you have to take a knee and drink it now." I said, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, you just got iced." I said, "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, but sure, I'm here to drink." So,
yeah. So
again,
take a knee
breaking
and
the
just
promise.
turn it up.
Just so the same guy when the icing thing was first starting out. Apparently, if you have a Smirnoff Ice on you, then they have to. If they go, "Oh, you got iced," you're like, "Nope." Uh, then they have to chug, and you don't. Well, my buddy's a dick, and he carried a warm deuce of Smirnoff Ice. Went to a party where he knew the guy was icing people, and the guy's like, "You got ice?" He's like, "Nope." Pulled that big thing out. Dude was chugging it, and he's just like, "Oh God, why is it warm?" He's like, "Yep, you're welcome." Rude but good.
Rude but good. I like that.
But,
So,
yeah.
do you think if you had been introduced earlier to alcohol in high school, you would have known how to drink in college? So you wouldn't get hammered,
Definitely.
drunk, and puke all over yourself, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Because it seems like
absolutely.
that was one of my stories, is that I never knew how to drink except just drink as much as you could and be the cool guy and show everybody how tough you are, and puke all over yourself and wake up horrible the next day, which is not really the best way of doing it.
No, not at all. I don't recommend it a bit. Um, yeah, I think having exposure early on and not having the American stigma of, oh, you can't touch alcohol. It's perfectly fine to go into the military at 18, but you can't drink until you're 21. And I thought it was funny. It was a comedian. It may have been the who's the Lewis
Louis C.K.?
guy. It might have been Louis C.K. that said that, but um, he had a shtick about it was him or somebody else had a shtick where basically like talking about women who are getting into the porn industry, and he's like, you are at the age of 18, you can go into the military, women can do porn. It's like they can be, hammered out by like 10 or 12 guys and have it filmed and put on in front of their friends and family and loved ones for a few $100s. And afterwards, she can't even go to the bar and have a drink. And if there's anybody that deserves a drink after that, it would be her. And I was like, that's a fair point. Fair
I
point.
do agree. I do agree.
We have some dumb shit laws in this country, and every time people complain about a law being stupid, they pass three more and be like, yeah, hold my beer.
Yeah, let me show you something I'm not experienced with, and that I got into this position just on a popularity contest and let me pass something I have no idea about. And
didn't read.
yeah,
I remember the Affordable Health Care Act, I think, was the largest bill that had been placed in front of Congress at the time, and that was at the time sort of 1,000 pages.
Just
Most people
recent?
didn't read it. No, this was back when the Affordable Health Care first came out. It was 1,000 pages during the Obama administration.
Okay. So a few years
and
ago.
and it was over 1,000 pages, and some senators were like, "We don't have time to read it," and they would also say, "Well, we can't know the full effects until we pass it." And it's like, let me get this straight. You have one job. You're telling us you're not going to do the job, and then you're not even going to know what you've done until after you've done it. And at the time, again, it was the largest paper bill that had been pushed at 1,000 pages. Now they're passing 3,000 page bills, and the idea is that whoever writes will do a synopsis and then report in basically like, okay, I wrote 500 pages. Here's a 2-page doc or whatever on it, if they get briefed at all. And then they're like, okay, it seems like a good idea or not. But you're just pumping out so much paperwork at that point that you're not really flowing up correct information. And you can sneak in a few $1 billion here and there, and then it'll be fun stuff. Then we get to pay for it in taxes.
So the people that are pumping out these papers, they have some background, some politicians, or not, do you think? Or is it just...
So a lot of the interns and the people that are working for the politicians will have legal experience or, a background, hopefully, in being an SME for what the information is that they're talking about. I'm actually looking up, speaking of dipshit laws, trying to find the new tax laws and how many are passed. I know that we had, I think it's like 20 new tax laws or something.
Could be. I don't know. I'm not an expert in any of this, so.
U.S. taxes.
Yeah, folks, he's looking up tax laws right now.
Yeah.
Don't want to give
that's
any
where
dead
we're
air.
at. So I'm just trying to see how the tax rate changes, but it's the point of we're getting so many people passing so many laws at such a rate and speed that you can't even keep up with it. And you're trying to get a synopsis of these things going through, but it's irresponsible.
I had a friend last night. He's on the police force in Christiansburg, and he was telling me now that it's almost basically impossible. I forgot when the new law was going to affect or whatever he was talking about, but almost impossible to pull somebody over. Like for an inspection tag, it would almost, I think he said either 3 months and a day before they can actually pull you over, just to say, oh, you're out of date by 3 months or. And there was something else about headlights, and I was like, what the fuck? I mean, why do you even try anymore?
Well, again, you have all these laws, and it's like, well, you can enforce them, but you shouldn't enforce that one, and you need to be careful about the tags. And it's, again, there's so many laws that you don't even know of or aware of, and police do continuing education just to be caught up on this stuff. And I feel for them. It's not a good job, often thankless, and I just couldn't imagine being like, okay, I'm going to go into a situation where I'm going to have angry people at me, and they're going to be, I'm going to tell them what to do. They don't want to listen to me, and I may have to, threaten them with violence in order to do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's all. Well, I mean, what else can you do? And then right now, if you do threaten with anything with violence, you're the asshole and you're the bad guy, and
my dad was,
you're trying to protect the law and serve, and
yeah, and there's plenty of dipshit cops out there. I mean, they're like any other profession. And my dad was a retired police officer, and I know that he worked with great guys and less than great guys.
Oh, your dad was a cop?
Too. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
20 years as a county bounty, which was ironic because he was not the sheriff of the county next door, but they had the same name. So people were like, "Oh, you're this guy's son." I'm like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Isn't he the sheriff?" I said, "You're thinking of the other one." Never got me out any tickets though, so that sucks.
So that he was a sheriff.
No, my dad was a County Bounty, and the sheriff of Sullivan County in Tennessee had the same name, and that was fun.
Okay. There, I'm
Yeah.
with you. So when you say county bounty, like county
Yeah.
police,
Yep.
I'm not sure if I know the difference. Because I know we have, like
So,
in RAF, we have the city, we have RUPD, and
right.
then there's also a sheriff's also in like Fairlawn,
Yeah.
right across the line.
So the sheriff's office in Fairlawn is, I think, the county of what
Pulaski?
county is Radford in? It might be Pulaski
No,
County.
yeah, Radford City. Is it on? Is that on a county?
You have Radford City, Pulaski County, and then they all have like overlapping jurisdictions and some like of their own stuff. But yeah, you have city cops, county cops, state cops, federal cops, U.S. Marshals, game wardens, which have the most authority.
Mm-hmm.
Funny enough, and yeah, tons of laws, tons of people trying to keep
Oh,
the peace.
and speaking of game wardens, that was another new law coming into effect. He was talking about that to get if you want to go kayaking, you have to get a license.
What?
Yeah.
That's actually good to know because
Yeah.
the lady loves to kayak.
Yeah,
So let me do that.
and so if you get a kayaking license and a fishing license is the same thing, but if you get one or the other, one is more expensive. I could be butchering this, and I'm pretty sure I am, but it's just better off to get the fishing and kayaking license at the same time. That way,
That's in Virginia.
yes.
Yeah, let me look at this. Virginia kayaking laws. It's a whole new expression to I'm on a boat, but there we go. Yeah, I found the new. I'll send you the link. You can post it in the video after.
I will.
I found some of the new taxes that are for this year, as well as I'm pulling up the taxes or not the taxes, Virginia kayaking laws. That is crazy. My happy derriere didn't realize that you had to do that. Motorized kayaking age. They put motors on those things now? I thought that was just a boat.
You can put a motor on a kayak?
Apparently, but there's a law for it. It's like you actually can't put one on there, but we passed a dipshit law in case some drunk redneck decided to have a good time with a motor and a can-do attitude on a kayak.
You're innovative. I used to see these boats these boats you can build, and they're little small things that sits one person, but $600-$700 you could take one and go floating down the river on it. Had a little motor on it. Wear a little captain hat.
That's it. Name it. Name it the SS Enterprise for Shelor Select.
Yeah, see, there's Select Enterprise coming down New River.
Boom. Having a beer in one hand, a spyglass in the other, and a fancy hat.
I like the spyglass and a fancy hat. I don't know if the beer in one hand would work out too well, but
Yeah. Well, we'll work on it. It's work in progress.
it's a work in progress. We'll figure something out for it. Maybe the next venture,
Yep.
new hobbies, and see where that takes me. But, so what's going on with the job? Anything new with the government or anything contract-wise we should know about? Or
No, nothing. At my low level, I don't get told anything. So it's
I was
all good.
wondering, since we had new administration in the White House, if anything has changed on your end. And
Not much. I mean, a lot of the care and feeding for most contracts that go through, as long as they're not a hot button item such as border security and the fencing, that was immediately canceled. So if you're doing pipeline work, that's always a administrative change. So typically during a Republican regime, pipeline work will be going on, and the guys will, be doing the work, getting paid well, and they're trying to put in as much pipe as they can quick. Jokes not intended, but they're laying that pipe. But once a new administration comes in and they're like, we're going to cancel the work, such as the pipeline, then immediately those jobs are out and they're looking for new work. But if you're doing a lot of the standard defense contracts, which will work with embassies, bases, things like that, there's always work going on, even when the budget goes up and down.
okay,
So
is it just getting defense contracts, just preparing for defenses as far as those contracts, or new innovations or technology, or
all the above.
any insight on that?
I mean, there's tons of contracts. As a matter of fact, let me see where the government contracting site is.
Tell us.
So the government contracts for bid, and you can see this top defense GovCons. Let's see here. I'll send that link out to you. It's actually, I don't want that one. That's an ad. I want to see if I can find the actual. There we go. Governmentbids.com. And you can see some of the government contracts that are going on, but most, again, administrative contracts, they continue to go on regardless, or most contracts go on regardless of the administration, because there's overlap and they have periods of performance, like, oh, we're going to do this for a year, 5 years, et cetera, and the work will continue.
Just through manufacturers, and just like you said, the contracts will keep going, and just depending on which branch of whatever they're looking for, like as far as products and what we're trying to improve, or
I mean, everything from trying to put a security camera on a room to, how do we improve the software on a new jet, to how do we better organize the shipping for a contract to, deliver material faster and better. I mean, there's contracts just to be able to supply power to these forward operating bases in other countries to set up either semi-permanent or permanent structures, temporary. I mean, there's all of the things that the industrial complex have been putting together. It requires a lot of paperwork, a lot of hands, and a lot of moving pieces and parts, and it's not going to stop because one person did or did not get elected.
Well, kind of going on what you said right there, I didn't ever, speaking of in today's times, I didn't realize Texas had their own power grid for some reason.
Their own, let's see here, Texas has their own power grid. They're the only state that still holds the right to secede from the Union.
Correct, and that's the reason they got their own power grid.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't, for whenever, the snow apocalypse, or whatever you want to call it, just happened yesterday or a couple of days ago, I didn't ever realize any of that. Had no idea they had their own power grid. I did know they have talked about before about succeeding from the USA, but I guess I just thought it was just hearsay or urban legends, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, there's nobody that's pushing for it to say, oh, we need to go. But it's an interesting concept that they can, and they try to be extremely self-sufficient from, again, a power perspective. California continues to say that they're going to take all the tech jobs and leave, and then Arizona's like, if you keep running that mouth, we're going to raise your power prices. And they're like, okay, we're sorry.
So you think California's a hurting state right now?
No, I just know that from a power supply standpoint, Arizona gives them most of their electricity.
See, I didn't realize that either. I had no idea about power grids and giving electricity and selling electricity from like AEP or whatever.
Yeah, well, so AEP is Virginia.
Right. Yeah, I just heard of us selling, or they sell electricity to the city of Radford, which I don't know if that's accurate.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you got to buy. So private companies, I don't think we have a U.S. government power dealer that creates power and distributes it. Who manages power for Arizona?
Yeah, see, all that stuff is pretty new to me.
That's APS, Arizona Public Service Company. And, a couple others. Let's see here. Yeah, state power profile. We'll use that one in the link. But it'll show you like where the power companies are, who's doing it. That's just for the state of Arizona. But yeah, they're pumping it out, and people are buying it up, and there's no shortage of, electronic and power needs, especially now with everybody working from home. And it used to be a bigger centralization, people going in, working in the offices to do that. But now you've got, people working from home, and the power grid needs to be, more robust to keep up with it. Even though I guess it doesn't have to be, because it's still people on a computer, just locations change. But
correct.
You want to make sure that it's flowing and going.
Well, so you're in North Carolina, correct?
Right now I'm in the old burg, Fishsburg.
Oh,
but
I thought you were in Winston-Salem last time I talked to you.
I was. I'll be there tomorrow.
Okay. Well, this is one thing I was going to ask you. Talking about the power grids and states. Elon Musk was talking about Austin, Texas, as the next boom town of this century generation.
So where he moved to?
He moved Tesla's. Yeah, he's moving Tesla out to Austin. It's going to be near the airport out there.
Yeah, because they moved out. Tesla moved its HQ to Texas, Nevada immediately. Yeah, because he wants to get out of California because the taxes are high, and also with him producing. So they do solar panels. They do a lot of work for in Puerto Rico right now. I think that's where they're making their solar panels. But Texas, of course, they would be closer to the power grid, as well as being able to leverage shipping costs if they wanted to ship out to Nevada, Arizona. And it'd probably be the same as California, but still, you're looking at being more on the backbone and able to supply power to the east as well as California and the west. And people are leaving California, and they just
Yeah, they're getting the hell
the
out of the
weather's
city.
great. Yeah, I'm still waiting for the earthquake to come and make it an island. I'm not looking forward to it, and I hope it doesn't.
Oh, what is what is that movie? Where actually
San Andreas.
San Andreas. There we go.
God,
Yeah,
that was such a shit movie.
with the Rock.
I like The Rock. They either put him in really good movies and tell him not to act, or they put him in really bad movies and say have fun.
What do you think about him being president? And I think there was talks about him
That's
actually
fine.
saying, "Hey, I would do it."
I mean, there literally couldn't be any worse. So,
What?
I mean, we've had some really terrible choices of presidents, and nobody seems to call the establishment out and say, "Hey, you keep giving us a shit sandwich or a cat shit or a dog shit sandwich. Why are you doing this?" And they're like, "Well, you're gonna eat one of the sandwiches, so pony up to the table and come hungry." And the American public's like, "We're not going to come hungry." And then every election year, it's like, "Well, we ate, we didn't like it, but here we are."
So do you
Belly
think
full of shit.
he would probably make an okay president, or
He'd be fine.
it's
I
just
mean,
well,
he's got the charisma to be able to be an eloquent speaker.
well, that's for
They don't
damn
have to-
sure. I agree with that 100%. He can talk, and he sounds pretty halfway intelligent when he talks on his Instagram and stuff. And
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know about his political views, but
I don't either. And that's a large part of the president will come in and say, "These are my political views, and this is what I'll do," and then they'll come in and they may or may not do it. And again, we've had worse options.
well, going off that, what do you think about the heat off? Every news station is almost their ratings are down because they're not talking about Trump anymore, and they don't really have anything to make fun of. So they're
I
just
mean,
kind of
they
struggling
have
right
Joe
now.
Biden. Joe Biden is hilarious. He is the liberal Bush, and every time that dude talks, it's a privilege to hear his ramblings because you couldn't make that shit up. I mean, he was, let's see here, rambling. Like, you don't have to even talk about the fact that he is 100% going to destroy COVID because anything that could risk him and his sense of smell, he won't have it. He enjoys sniffing the people. But, I mean, Joe Biden gaffes all the time. And the news media, for whatever reason, don't want to cover it. And it's a shame because this dude truly just eats. I mean, he eats foot all day long. Let's see here.
I just think it's interesting that it's almost everyone's gotten bored with politics now, and I know nobody cares. You know, almost anything that fires hatred in people, it's gone down low, which I don't have any problem with at all. But it's almost every news station is like, what are we going to do? What are we going to talk about? How do we keep people interested in politics or something that fuels fire?
Yeah, well, again, it doesn't sell fear and anger sell toilet paper, and they're trying to make this healing time or whatever is the real machinations of like, oh, we're a better America now, and I'm like, we're still America. One person got elected, one person didn't, and another person didn't even get as much as the person prior to them in their election. I was really hoping to see at least 5% for a third party because they get federal funding at 5%.
For a third party, I didn't know that.
So to be recognized as a third party, the criteria for recognition is low, but to get federal funding, which is really what steps up your game, you have to get 5% or more in a election. So the federal presidency election for, we use the Libertarian Party, of course, they had gotten a percent more higher than they did in the Trump Clinton election. They would have gotten it because I think Gary Johnson was at 4-3 or something, so they were close. And then Joe Jorgensen got 1.9%, and it's like people came out in droves and voted a hard blue or a hard red.
Do you think there should be a third party?
Absolutely.
I read something. Trump is trying to start one, and it's going to be the Patriot Party, which I don't think this will ever go over too well with anybody. But I kind of agree, though, that there should almost be a third party, too.
Yeah, it keeps the one-party establishment and their two flavors decentralized and power enough to where they actually have to try to do a decent job, as opposed to when Nancy Pelosi decided it'd be great to buy is either $1 million in shares or 1 million shares of Tesla right before the government awarded them a contract. Because remember, insider trading is fun if you're a senator, and it's not considered something that you can be put on trial for. It's the only senators, congressmen, and president and vice president are the only people that can do insider trading legally. So they can know that they're getting ready to award a huge contract, and that's how a lot of these people make their millions and millions of dollars. It's like Nancy Pelosi, we'll use her, and then probably let's talk about Ted Cruz for a minute. That was super fun. Cruz was going for a cruise until somebody found him.
Yeah, it's so easy just to you can't even go to Cancun anymore without somebody knowing it, huh? Is that where do you get Cabo or Cancun? Cancun?
One of the two.
Yeah, I can't remember. Dude said later.
He's like, I'm out, and then he's like, well, I wanted to go because the girls, because he has some kids. He's like, hey, I'm gonna escort them down there, and I was like, man, this is fun.
Did you see guy
leaving the bad area?
Did you see I can't remember if it was Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel, but they did a little skit of him, and where the rover landed on Mars, and then they had a random, I guess, Photoshop Ted Cruz in on Mars. Like, oh, you're here too?
Like, hey!
I got little dudes everywhere. I got a little chuckle out of it.
Wow, so he's worth a paltry $3 million. So
$3 million.
And then yeah,
that ain't much.
Nah, I mean not for what those guys make. Let me see her net worth.
You look at Nancy's net worth?
Yeah. Okay. So, she's a ranked U.S. States Congress by wealth. Ridiculous. I thought she was worth more. It's only $114 million. Yeah. That's ridiculously low.
$114 million.
Yeah. You make, I'm trying to figure out that math again. If you make under $200K a year and you have expenses, how many years you'd have to work to be worth $100 million? Help me out here. What's it like?
Well, 2 times 5 is 1 million.
Yeah, so 5, she needs 100, so 500 years? If she doesn't have any expenses? Yeah, that makes sense.
Just a simple lifetime, no big deal.
Yeah. Couple years, but it'd be interesting to see Trump do a third party. I think that there would be enough interest from some of the Republican Party that feels disenfranchised anyways that they would push over the 5% and again become a recognizable party, and he would be the same age Joe Biden is now at that point. So Joe Biden got elected at 78.
Is that how?
74?
Man, I thought Joe was younger than 78. I could be wrong. I probably am wrong, but damn.
He's been in politics for 50 years. He'll crush the 50-year mark either this year or next.
80. I mean, he's amazing. Man, you're just waiting.
He'll be 82. Fun stuff. It's all politics. So in the immortal words of George Carlin, it's all shit. It's all bad for you.
It's all shit. It's all bad for you.
Well,
I like that one.
There, I'll pop that in. You can see the congressional net worth of all the people and how they rank. Again, was a little disappointed. She's only seventh. Now I got to see who number one is. Wow, wow. Representing Virginia, Mr. Mark Warner,
Let's go,
two
Mark.
214 million. Boom.
That's not bad.
Then, dude, that's making that money work for you.
Yeah, I'd say.
Um, let's see here. Then Montana, Michigan, Florida, New York is number five. Six is also Virginia. He's in the House. So yeah, Mark Warner's actually he's in the Senate. Then the next six down to through Pelosi are on the House, and then number eight's back in the Senate. So you got more House members knocking it out than Senate members apparently. Good for them. And here people look down on them because there's more of them than senators. They're too busy making that money to worry about prestige, right?
Well, if I had 214 million,
I mean, 79 million for number 10 in Michigan. So what is that? That's less than 500 years.
What's the lowest?
Lowest, let's see here.
The absolute lowest you're looking at.
On a roster of 50 people, we have Delaware's House member worth 10.7 million.
Oh, so they're still in the millions. That's not bad.
Oh yeah, I mean top 50. 10.7 is the low bar to beat.
It's interesting.
Good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. But anyway, John, I think we've been going over a little 30 minutes here, and I know you're not feeling too well tonight. So
again, the tea and the water are helping, but I'll need a good night's sleep to get right with
yeah,
the Lord.
to recover back. But anyway, such short notice. Appreciate you coming on and all that good stuff, and giving us a little insight. And it's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Likewise, buddy, and we'll chat soon again.
All right, yeah, we'll get you on here, maybe talk a little longer and get some more insights on the stock market or something. Maybe you sent me something earlier with GameStop round 2.
Oh, dude, people really hit that hard, and I got into the hype. Got a few GME stocks. Bought some, sold some. I think I made like $2, but just to kind of be a part of it, see how it was going, and see if there was anything to really kind of the stock market setting its own price point for stocks, which are ultimately just complicated gambling and betting.
Yeah, it's almost just a gambling addiction, almost. And a lot of people who do gain from the stock market are actually from other people's losses. Is what I've been trying to read up more on it here in the past few weeks, since obviously GameStop just took off ridiculously. Right. It's like, maybe I can make a couple thousand on this, but might be too late to the party. But
it was up to almost 400, and then it dropped. Like it went from $2 a share, then it jumped up to 50, and then people just started hammering it, and it jumped up way higher. And again, it almost I think it was like 360, maybe something in that neighborhood.
Yeah, I know it got close to 400, or right at it. It may have went to 400. Yeah. I'm not 100%.
And then it got dropped.
But yeah, I read a few people actually bought a house and they actually made some serious money on it. Who got in?
Yeah.
And other people
got in early.
Yeah, some people may have lost their ass, but
yeah,
that's part of the game. Like we said, it's a gambling addiction. It could be a gambling addiction. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you watch your investments go up and go down. You know, I did Robinhood. I'm looking at a couple other apps also to figure it out. I think E-Trade now is trying to do a similar
E-Trade. I know a lot of people jumped on that Webull.
Webull is one of those. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, do I have that one? I don't have that one on my phone, but yeah. And what people are finding out, and I think I mentioned this in an earlier episode, the black gold is no longer oil; it's data. And Robinhood makes money from selling data of when people buy, what they buy, what they're looking at, and that's where they're like, we'll let you trade for free, we'll eat the cost of the trading and everything. It's like because we're making a shitload of money selling your data. And when you read through the user agreement, because everybody takes their sweet time and diligent effort to make sure that every single piece that they're giving away in those user agreements is known to them. AKA, Agree. Yeah, they're collecting your data and they're selling it, and people are, building algorithms and platforms to see how they can better make money off of your dollar.
Exactly. Whatever people are doing or whatever they're looking at, that was the whole point of maybe social media and just in general.
Yeah.
I mean, reminds me of a book. I mean, we're kind of going up. I know I already said we're going to end this or whatever, but Irresistible by Adam Alter. And he talks about algorithms and how actual people who actually designed Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, they didn't let their students, or not students.
Kids.
Kids actually use the platform just because they knew how addicting it was.
It works off a similar, I can't remember, I might have mentioned this in a chat, if not, the Skinner box. And modern gaming as well as social media works off of the Skinner box.
What is the Skinner box? I don't think I've heard you mention this.
So Skinner box, it's called operant conditioning chamber. And again, I'll do a link to this one. So I actually did this as a college paper because it's one of the cooler things that I found out about. And you've heard of games like Candy Crush, Farmville.
Mm-hmm. He did talk about Candy Crush in that book, about how so addicting it was.
So what the Skinner box is they took a box and put a rat in the box. And they're like, okay, we want to get the rat to push a button. And they put a button in there. And when the rat pushed the button, the rat got food. And the rat would push the button and it would eat. And when it was full, it would stop pushing the button. And they're like, okay, how can we make the rat push the button more? And so they hooked it up to either like some sort of drug. And they're like, okay, whenever it would push the button, then it would get a little bit of the drug, either into the brain or whatever. And so the rat would push the button until it died. And they're like, well, we don't want a dead rat. So how do we get the rat to push the button, but, at a rate that we want to control? So what they did is they set up a frequency on the button. So you push the button once and the rat would get food or drug or whatever, but then it had to push the button twice to get the same experience. And then they had to push the button 4 times and then 8 times. And this is again what video games, especially freemium, are built off of, because they're like, hey, you won't have to push the button as much if you pay us money. And you get hundreds of dollars are being spent on gotcha games, things like that. Farmville, it's like you want to grow your crops faster. Then, of course, speaking of, and I like using Farmville because they have the punishment system that was also implemented by Skinner. And it's like, okay, we want the rat to push the button at least every so often. So they took the cage floor and electrified it, and it would send out a shock every minute or two. But if the rat pushed the button, it reset the timer. So through positive and negative reinforcement, aka operative conditioning or operant conditioning, it would allow them to say, okay, you're going to push the button so many times to get your reward, and we're going to also force you to push the button or you'll be punished. And I mean, modern platforms are based on that operant conditioning theory, and it works well. The media has been doing it for some time, and that's why it's like, oh, it's boring. It's because people have been pushed into a corner where it's like, okay, we're no longer caring enough about the punishment, i.e. lack of knowledge, to turn on the news. So it's something fun to look into. It's the last link I posted, and on that note, I'm going to get some work done.
Of course.
Speaking of punishment.
Yeah, I'll tag all those links in the video and all that good stuff, kind of like last time. But again, appreciate you being here. Appreciate your insights and all that good stuff.
Yeah, always a pleasure, man. Always.
All right, John, man. All right. Well, hope you feel better. Get some work done and
working water, man. Working water.
Working water, baby. Stay hydrated. All right. Good news and good night, world.
Good night.